Could be afternoon. It could be night. It could be actually early Friday. It depends on where you are in the world. We just doing this thing. We're gonna get this thing going. I'm just gonna get on just a second. Get this thing straight. I always hit the wrong part. I'm gonna be on just a second. Gotta turn this thing on, get this thing cranking. Okay, let me get out of here. We're gonna be on here just a little bit. Get this thing on real quick. Okay, let's get this thing going. Get these highlights rolling. What's going on? What's going on? See somebody on here real quickly. I'm just sending out notices, so don't move. Don't move. Keep talking. So if anybody's on, we gonna be here. So we got something. So live, 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 live. If you're here, say something. And I am doing it in English. So come on. I think you know I'll be doing it in English, though. I hope you know I'm doing it in English. So just letting you know that we are live today. Let's see, we got one vote so far. Someone said yes, she is. So yeah, the Beyonce question, yeah. Well, I would imagine most people would say that she is overrated as a songwriter. She really don't write nothing, and them songs that she got out ain't that memorable. Uh, I think the New York Times ran some kind of story about it, questioned her authenticity. We gonna even do such a thing? Thank you for the ones hitting the likes up, and if you're welcome aboard, feel free to come on in. Come on in, tell me where you're coming from, and how's your day going, and we can get started. Just starting off early right now, just getting in here. I just had to send out all the links because they don't always do that on these YouTube streets, so I have to. And if anybody follows me in different places, they where I'm usually at. I'm usually on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can catch me on TikTok if you want to. Um, I don't mess with X a whole lot, but I'm got all them places covered. So, but if you're on, let's talk. And I'll be on here for a minute. I'll see what kind of vibe I get, see what kind of traction we get. If we get some good traction, I'll stay on here for a while. I won't be back till probably Sunday. And after that, not till about next Wednesday or next Friday. So more so this week. So if you want to chop it up, let's chop it up. I'm coming to you live today. First time we've done a back to back in a minute. So, but yeah, that's a big story about Beyonce. Some people want to talk about the basketball game. Yeah, Cleveland beat Detroit last night. They're up 3-2. Uh, Cleveland should win that series if they. Well, if Duncan Robinson don't play, I expect Cleveland to finish them out because Detroit just don't score enough points. Detroit, I like Cade Cunningham a lot. They just don't have enough horses. Especially when Tobias Harris is your second option. You got to have a legit option with Cade Cunningham. I do believe if they had another piece, they could come out the East. I just don't think they got enough horses. So I'm not sold on Cleveland because Donovan Mitchell got to play like a superstar. James Party Harden is going to do what he do, but they got to do more. But if they play like they did last night, they got a chance though. So that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah, this whole Hannah Montana situation, another situation going on. So we'll see what goes on. It's another situation. Just get your mask out and get yourself stocked because you just know it's just almost inevitable. Not that I changed anything. I still got my same rules and regulations. Ain't nothing changed. I tell people all the time I don't trust none of these governments. They just as soon as see you, you know, whatever. What's up? Your timing is perfect. I just sent you your message. So thank you for coming on. I'm glad we can connect. And I wanted you to know that. 25-50% chance I'm on Sunday. So just letting you know. And after that, not till next Wednesday. So that's why I want to come on today. If I know I'm going to get some views and people are going to come through, I'll come through. So what's on your mind? This should be a pretty easy poll right here. We shouldn't really have to stutter on this one. As a singer, I don't think so much as a writer. As and she does okay on stage. I'm not blown away by it though. Yeah, but I'm not blown away by it though. She's always kind of left me kind of cold. I never quite got the hype. I think that she's somebody that just ain't never had the right songs. Yeah, I just talking about the songwriter. I ain't talking about the other stuff. Catchy and forgettable because I don't think they have much depth. She has nothing that I'm going to sit around and think is going to still be relevant in 10 years from now's time. Nothing. It's cute act for today, but I don't hear nothing that I think is going to sustain. Not a thing. Only because Alicia Keys songs sound like stuff that you grew up with and listened to. That's the only reason. Because ain't nothing about her stuff is original. And she ain't got Beyonce's voice. She knows how to like somewhat carry herself, but she's very mid. If you put the both of them together, you might have a really good act, but left divided apart, they what I call low second tier acts. All she did was just cover songs. That's all she did. There wasn't nothing old school about her. She just basically followed the Mary J. Blige playbook, which Mariah Carey did too. And it worked until people heard that no one, that corniness. And then when she fell off bad. And she's been like trying to recover for like a decade plus after that no one song. People stopped messing with AK after '09. Oh, well, take your time. We don't want you to be in a hurry. We're glad to have you here. That's the first time I heard about someone that walked down the street listening to the live podcast. That's cool. That makes me feel pretty good on the walk as you talk. Yes. You have a good day so far. Oh, yeah. Well, because of the complexion, too. They both looked accessible. That wasn't by accident. NDRE couldn't get the budget that Alicia got. They were going to push Beyonce no matter what. And I told the story, and now some people laughed at me, but I said Ashanti was like a hood rat. Ashanti was like the blacker side of Beyonce because she did all those Herb, got all those stuff with her, and she sold records, but she didn't have crossover appeal. That's the thing. Ashanti didn't have the crossover appeal. Myron Gaines. What has Myron Gaines said, and why does that name sound familiar? Because what is it that he said something that I heard, and that name sounds very familiar. You tell me what it was that he said, and I can jars me. That's an old school name. I know that, and I know he black too. Cause Myron is a name I ain't heard, and that name takes you back. Name sounds hecka familiar too. Sound like I heard something about him too. Trying to think what we got. Hmm. Where everything go? Okay, I don't know where everything went. Where everything go? Let's see what we got. That's so quiet though. Oh, he's a bum. He's a bum. I don't like him. I wonder where you were. I don't like him at all. He's a bum. Tate is whack. Mm. See what we got. I just don't really particularly care for him. That's all. Sometimes you just don't like somebody for different reasons. That's all. I don't have to have no reason. I don't like there were certain things that were said. They just kind of rub me the wrong way. That's all. That's all. Oh, I think that's a bunch of jive. If you got a silver spoon in your mouth, it's hard. But if your character is pretentious and a bit out of touch, that's just you. That's how I look at that. I don't let nobody's so-called position dictates what they really are, because they are what they really are. Money or no money. People always got a built-in excuse because if someone's got the money, they act like they got their head buried high. But mm-mm. Mm. Spring. That's not even for discussion. Spring. I love spring. The only cool thing about fall is like football season comes back, baseball's almost over, and then the leaves are cool, and there's like this nice romanticism of it because it's like the end of the summer, and if you depend on where you live, you get that nice cool late September. Uh, so if you ever had to clean up leaves in someone's yard, that work alone makes you never want to see fall again. That was work. Uh, get that fresh sunshine on the spring. That's all I can say. All depends on the person. I like the spring best though. Hmm. I don't know. I'd probably say National Grid. I don't know. Mm. Um, yeah, I already answered that. What's more diverse, boots or sneakers? Sneakers, because boots is only meant for. And the thing is with boots, you have to fit them to what you're rocking them for. If you're going climbing, you got to wear them for climbing. If you're going because of snow, you got to do them for that. Sneakers you can manipulate with different things. You don't get to manipulate boots. They don't have the same kick. There's styling boots, but even with that, you know what? It's where sneakers you can put with just about anything. Who runs the world's Who runs the world, girls? For Beyonce. If yeah, Janet's got her beat. I'm not that crazy about neither song, but Janet's got the W. Nobody, because she hasn't really finished being the first her yet. Nobody. But it could be done if they wanted to. I mean, if you think her career is that memorable, I wouldn't know who has potential or not because I don't pay no mind. No, I'm not really. To be honest with you, I'm not that invested in it. I ain't knocked out by nobody, so I'll take your word for it. I'm not knocked out by Beyonce, so I'll take your word for it. What company's got to promoting? That don't mean nothing. You said popular and admired. I don't understand what you're talking about. I can show you a lot of acts that were popular and admired. Does that mean that they're necessarily good or great? Nope. It's different strokes, different folks. You fill a lane and you happen to have a couple of decent songs, but that doesn't mean that you're all that though. Like I said before, they blow up whoever they want to put money on. No. You asking me who do I prefer out the two? I'm probably gonna give a lean towards Sarah Vaughan because I like her scatting. Nina was bad though, but I probably listen to Sarah Vaughan more though. That's a good question. Hmm. Um, Cyrus don't have no legacy. Come on now, that's Natalie Cole and Nat King Cole. They ain't enough for discussion. That's not even up for discussion. Natalie Cole had a good career, really good career. Molly Cyrus, it's not that memorable. Her Dirty was what I consider a third tier act. Nat King Cole's a first tier act. So of course it's Natalie Cole in the blowout. I don't look at Billy Ray Cyrus having no. He's had some big hits, yes. But what has he done that I would sit there and go, oh, he's the second coming up? No, no. They found a niche. If you like mediocrity, I nearly laughed when I saw that them two because I don't think nobody else would ever put Natalie Cole and Miley Cyrus in a competition. Because and their daddies, that's not you. That's even no. He just no, because Party Hardy always has two games where he stands up. So he got one more game to stand up. But he looked like Party Hardy those first two games. He played pretty good the game four. And then he finally stepped up. He's good for two blowout games, and then he does his usual shtick. No, Max Strauss was huge for them. If you really want to know, Strauss hit some big shots, and that's the thing because Detroit can't score. I'm telling you my words. If he takes that team to the finals and they win a ring, other than that, anymore. Yeah, that's true because they have the offensive firepower. I just got to saying the Pistons don't have no firepower. You know, if Tobias Harris is your second best option, you in trouble. I like Cade Cunningham a lot, but he can't single handedly do what they shouldn't have beaten Orlando, and they're in a situation where they're down 3-2 again. So that's not the sign of a legit team. Every series ain't a battle. You know, they should have lost that to Orlando. They beat Orlando because Orlando dumb, mid tempo, and don't know how to have no leads, and so just played dumb all year. Pablo Bonchero got a lot of work to do. That they should have won that series. And now Cleveland, yeah, won a game on the road. That's a huge one. So if you're Cleveland, you better finish them out tomorrow night, or you're not going to win that series. That's what makes Detroit so dangerous. Yeah. If you are both those teams, you better. If you don't, you in trouble. If you're San Antonio, you done outplayed Minnesota or played, you know, but you don't want that to go no more. I still don't think the Spurs are there this year. I think next year in the next 5, that's when I think they're gonna really shine. I think it's what we call the feeling it out stage this year. You seeing it, but when it gets fine tuned, it's gonna be hard to mess with Wimby for 5 years after. And as far as the Cavs, they got to because if they don't finish at home, they suck. It should be. It should be. And it's gonna make or break Chad Holmgren, Einstein too. It's gonna be a big series. Doesn't mean much in the regular season. Shay's a different animal in the postseason, and I think that the thing about OKC, they can send many horses. So I wouldn't. I think it's gonna be a lot. And the Spurs won a few close games. OKC makes a couple of necessary adjustments. They'll be okay. So we'll see. But I seen a couple of things that lets me know that OKC can win though. Yeah, he just got to play poised though, because after this whole thing with Nazir Reed, he got to be very poised though. When his maturation kicks in, he's gonna be dangerous. He hasn't even reached that point yet. Yeah, but Chad's gonna have time to rest up. And Heinstein, they got like I said before. OKC, if they do what they supposed to do, you know. So we'll see. I think these two teams can battle for the Western Conference next 2 or 3 years after this year, though. I don't see nobody else in the mix out west. I'm free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's these two, and then it's everybody else in the west. Mm. Yeah, why not? Men do. Why not? I don't understand that question. Of course, wear what you like. I don't understand the connotation about it because it, yeah. Let's say, can you say LA line one? Can you say Miami line two? Can you say, uh, ooh, it's a good 20 plus teams. See, first of all, his is crying to get to a major market. His is screaming. They don't have the right guard. They don't have that. They don't have the yes, because he's at his peak in his prime. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. He's arguably the most important American-born player you got going right now. Let him win and come out, and don't see if he's on a box of Wheaties in June. See, I'm telling you, he's got that kind of it, but it's being squandered. He been too old. He been played. He been played there for a while. Yeah, because they don't attract the pieces that they need. You know, you got to get a piece that complements him. You know, and they just don't do it. I'm not bringing it on Conley too much because he is what he is, but he's been that way with them. But you got to be smarter if you're the coach. You got to go and get you a legit point guard. You got to go and get you a center that can score. That's their dilemmas: the center spot and the guard spot. So, except the Raptors got a title. Minnesota barely gets to what they gets to what they've had some success the last few years and just don't get the green light. He can't do nothing at this stage. He's pushing 88. Come on now. If you talked about what, 7 years ago? Yeah, they got what they needed. And Toronto was always legit. You know, they had hard workers like Kyle Lowry. DeRozan's good. Not great, but good. You know, you always had guys that were. The problem with Minnesota is an ant. It's like sticks out like a sore thumb because, okay, how is that going to connect? What's it going to work with? Mm. Yeah. Well, yep, stat pattern geniuses. And the sad part is DeMar, he got mad because people were calling him out because I think he passed Oscar Robinson, or he's gonna pass Shaq on the scoring list. And I said, well, you suck. You're not that kind of player. What's up? I told you I was gonna be back. What's up? Told you. I'm on here for see what time I got. I'm here for at least another hour. So let's do it. Yeah. Got another hour and a half. So let's do it. Yeah, Levine is athletic and he just a big nothing. He never fell on. What you mean fell off? You got to fall on something first. Detroit's lacking. Detroit's lacking. It's not a shock. The thing is that Detroit's been lacking. Yeah, they're not. It used to be a time when you. I'll tell you a time of NBA. I remember when 15,000 was a big deal. 20,000 was like wow. 25,000 you were special. These guys now, no, he ain't. J.R. Ryder was better. No, he ain't. Not the J.R. Ryder was better. T-balls. Because she sounded like a female version of Prince. Macy Gray sounded like she'd been smoking too many cigarettes. That doesn't change the fact that he was a better player than a lot of these cats. And it's not really that big a deal because at the end of the day, it's about his overall totality. But when you're gonna see some stuff with James Harden moving up the scoring list and some of these others that if they don't win, that's where the emptiness is felt. I don't know about that. I'd say about 32. I say a little over 30. I don't know about that. Starting. Ooh, if all things is fair, if all things is fair. So, what you asking me? Asking me based on what they actually did or their talent? Because that's how I'm going to word it. If you're asking me on what they actually did and what moved my eyeballs, I'm going to start Mookie Blaylock. I'm going to bench Damian Lillard, and I got to cut Stephon Marbury because he didn't really work in the NBA like that. Mookie would get the start because Atlanta did get to the second round every year. Damian Lillard has been stat padding, and I don't know what he's doing. He's a better talent, but it doesn't translate to what it need to. Marbury moved me more than both of them, though. And they sure can't, but that's what they want. That's what they want. Because Mookie was more consistent. Dame's a better talent. I give Dame's a better talent, but I'm talking about that don't mean he moved me. Did the Atlanta Hawks used to get in the second round of playoffs? Well, last time Dame did something that you remember, and I don't want to hear about no playing cup. That Walmart cup. I saw the Hawks in the '90s. Dame is not that memorable. Dame is overrated. See, he makes them logo threes and he scores points. And yeah, and what else? What else? What happened to Milwaukee? Are we gonna get amnesia about that? How about this Blazer team that made the playoffs this year without him, and all he did was show for a 3-point contest, which he won? How about that? Not exactly something I get excited about. No, Harden will give you some games. It's just a matter where he go back into his canoe. They gonna need him to finish off Detroit tomorrow. I'm just telling you. You asked me who I would pick as far as start bench cut. I didn't say that Mookie was a better player. I said he moved me more. He still was holding his own as a guard though. You know, he smoked all them cigarettes. I ain't gonna say he balled out. He had 19 in the one game. He had 30 this last game. It ain't like you're sitting there going the beard is back. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's taking advantages of lineups that they need. I like Steve Smith. But I like what Mookie did as a guard. That's all I said. You said start bench cut. I didn't say that he was. Doesn't just gotta get twisted. I didn't say he was better than. He did more though. He moved me more. Dame messed up his situation with um um just he a journeyman who wrong situation and wrong and just and one but he played 12, 13 years. So can't call somebody a bum if they stick that around all that. Who am I trying to think of that played with Dame Lillard and then LaMarcus Aldridge? Yeah, he messed that up. So yeah. Um I'm starting Nick Van Exel. I'm gonna bench LaMelo and I'm gonna have to cut Steve Francis because Steve Francis underachieved. I'm not saying that LaMelo was. This ain't. And when I say this, it's just that he underachieved. LaMelo got more upside. Steve Franchise looked like he lost interest, and it's a shame too, because Steve Franchise should have been the next up to Allen Iverson. He had spring in him. He could flat out move that thing. Just did. It just faded him and Coutinho. I don't know what's up with that. Nick's gonna start out of them three though. Because Nick did give me a postseason run, and he had some moments. Nick got more out of. Did you have more Nick Van Exel postseason moments? Tell me that Nick Van Exel didn't look good, especially with the Dallas had that one playoff run. He just was hard headed. That's the only thing. So was Steve. Steve got more talent. Well, most people did. Stockton and Horner said because when Sloan would put that defense on your butt, yeah, but I mean he still was a good fit. It's just there was a lot of immaturity because he didn't really fit with what was going on in LA. Better play overall, Jet, because you got the postseason run out of him, and he always believed in himself. Jet actually got better. He got more clutch. Nick was athletic talent with that left hand, that step, and what he would do, but he didn't really go no further. Yeah, the Jet moved me more of the two. That's it when he put that championship on his arm, and you see he had the confidence, and he was very important for Dallas. So I'm gonna give the Jet the edge. I think Nick Van Exel had more flashes of stuff that I like, but Jet played smarter though. Nick was living that LA life. They don't win. Because Van Exel had that run with Denver where he looked good. I think it was a second round one of them. But he faded a lot, you know? And that's one of the reasons why he couldn't work with the Lakers. You can get him, he's quick and agile and there's things that he can do. But once the novelty kind of wears off, it's kind of lackluster. That's one of the knocks against him. Because he was streaky. So that's the why. But some of these battles that you asked me, it's because of what they end up doing in totality, not because I necessarily think that they were a better player and so on. But if I'm starting a team and I'm going to win, I got to go with what I think is gives me the best chance. Now, it ain't always about your talent. Nobody that I grew up with would dare say that Rudy and Matumbo in the same sentence. They're not. I think it'd be great for Rondo to be a head coach. He's got a high IQ. I think he'd be perfect. He deserves to be a head coach somewhere. If JJ Ridiculous can be a coach, why not Rajon Rondo? Rajon Rondo is one of the smartest players I ever saw as a guard. He just didn't fit in certain situations but that guy's IQ was off the charts. As a matter of fact, Anthony Davis played his best ball with Rajon as his guard. I'm just gonna say that. He was just okay. He was okay offensively. It doesn't make any difference. They have to get him a job. That's how it works. He is Ray John Rondo. First of all, when I say that, he ain't carrying no name. He would, but people don't care about that. Because Rudy Gobert got traded from Utah for like half of Minnesota. So, but they don't care about that though. The problem with Gobert more than anything is just that he's a big clumsy log on setting screens and picks, and he's just an offensive liability. Except last year when he played against the Lakers in the first round, where they had him looking like something. But the guy is just not that good. Yeah, it is a shame, but hey, it's a lot of politics in the system. Well, you traded half your state for him, so you kind of stuck with him. The problem that y'all got is he's an offensive liability, except against the Lakers last year. He's an offensive liability. He's one of your clogs Just like Conley's one of your clogs. If you get those guys to score 10 points plus each, you're going to the final. Well, you won't go to the finals, but you win this series. But that's the problem. That is every time you guys don't score. I already said that. I did. I do videos about it. I talk about it all the time because when Tobias Harris is your second best option, you're not to last long. And I like Cade a lot. It's just that they don't give him nothing to work with. And it's just showing how the East looks either kind of wick whack because, I mean, really, there's no reason why they should be. Mm. I think all the way through that, I think 26 to 2010 was his peak in his prime. I think up to 2011, he was a top 5 player. Grant Hill's a better player. Problem with Cade is that Cade has to learn how to fine tune his all around game. Grant Hill figured out how to put assists and rebounds in involvement. If Cade can get that with the right piece, but Grant was a little bit more fluid with his thing. I like Cade a lot, but it can't stay at that kind of pace or he'll burn out quick. They got to bring him in, and he's got to be willing to listen to that. No, Wade from 2006 to about 2011 was peak prime. He was raw bone from '04, '03 to '05, but then peak prime was '06 to 2011. That's when the best of him came out. Because '06 to '09, he was unstoppable. And that's why I always had him tied with Kobe from all time two guard because I always said that if you gave him something to work with, far as chips and opportunities, he was 3-2. Kobe was 5-2. Well, for 7 trips, we went 5. The thing is, what I'm getting at is that they pretty much you can almost scratch them out because Kobe was the better scorer, Wade was the better defender. And if you put them both in a situation, um, no, they needed a center. That was a part of it, but not having Sabonis was huge. That's what hurt them. I already did a video about it. If you watch my videos, I did a video about that already. I said, Stephen A. Smith and were talking about it. I did a video about that a few weeks ago. Um, no, he's not Jerry Jones because they did go to 2 finals in the last decade. So he's not Jerry Jones. The Cowboys haven't been to an NC Championship game since AOL. You had AOL in the Sunday newspaper. Pat Riley has been representing. It's just that what has happened is that hero ball, they are constantly removing themselves from legitimacy, and he do need to go up. But now he's in a lot, you know, compared to Jerry Jones, he could do another 3 years. But I don't want it though. You need to go upstairs. It's Kevin. No, not really. Not if the Pistons had another scoring option. No, not really. Yes, I do. Because I'm gonna tell you why. I thought that the late the center they had, well, I'm not thinking of him right now, but anyway, if they'd have had a beat a Sabonis, either against not really. They'd have had a beat a Sabonis against Detroit or Chicago, they win in one of them rings. They're gonna win a ring. I think that's the problem that hurt them, not having the right center. Yeah, Duckworth. That's what it was to me. I thought the guard spot was okay. Now Pippen called them a dumb team. I remember him saying that. No, I don't know. Because I think that Carolina is trying to get a name brand. I don't know how that's going to work. It could work, it might not. You know, I don't think. I think Jordan and Porter would have won. I don't. I think the thing is this: Scotty didn't score enough points. See, you can sit here and romanticize Scotty, and he can do a lot of things. He just didn't score enough volume. And another thing that I always do because I end up repeating myself as I do a lot. Wilt Chamberlain's book, Who's Running the Asylum, talks about it in one of the chapters. And he said that's one of the reasons that held him back on Pippen. Pippen didn't score enough points. He need to score against Chicago. Would he have done that? I don't think so. Yeah, but I think if they had a beat Sabonis, they win that finals. Or they got a chance to win. That's not how they won that game 6 though. I remember Brian Hansen hitting that 3-pointer. They were down by 15 in the fourth quarter, and they hit nothing but their bench brought them back against Portland in their fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But the series was pretty much over after game one when Jordan lit up Cliff Robinson for them 6 3-pointers. So I don't know. You take it how you want to take it. Jordan wasn't gonna let them lose that, and I still think Duckworth was the problem. Jerome Kersey was cool, but I still think that Duckworth. I still think if they had a beat us, they would have won a ring. He used what he had. He still was making them cats accountable. So I don't know what that means. Shrimp was a better player. Karolinko, so Karolinko, he he played good defense. He about 16, 17. It's not a lot of, but what happened to him when that time his wife gave him permission to have a one night stand, said he had one night to do what he wanted to do, he never was the same again. It's almost like she put the hex on him. Yeah, he went AK-47 to AK-7. That was a cell. No, that left gave you more versatility. That was more versatile. That's a good comparison too, because I never hear nobody ever mention them two. You don't never gonna see that. And two things: low post presence, and let me get on live for this one. Since y'all want to see, I put myself on for this one. Low post presence, and stop shooting all them three balls. All that they needed a bench. They had no answer for Ron Harper, Tony Kukoc. That's really the difference. The size ate them up, and Dennis Rodman stole 2 games. That's really what it was. Rodman out hustled them mentally and broke them down. They did a good enough job against Jordan and Pippen. They did a pretty good job on the whole. It's just that Rodman outworked them, and they just were dumb enough to fall for keep shooting those threes and not take it to. They had a chance. Oh yeah, well, that story was known back when he played. That's funny because after that story dropped, he kind of had this little part in his hair. He was. To me, he was. He was. He was. He took 2 of those games. The thing is that the Sonics did not have anybody. Burkowski, he got in their head, and whatchamacallit? Yeah, Irvin Johnson was. He ain't magic. He was just Irvin. The problem with them is that they like George Carl's style would be perfect for today. Back taps, volleyball, shooting the long ball with big smooth would have been put wrong era though. Yeah, but the problem is that again the size. So Ron Harper was a handful. Kukos was a handful. They kept putting size on the Sonics, and the Sonics just kept shooting that three ball. There's a lot of. If you watch that series, you'll see what I mean. It were ugly series, and again, Jordan's worst series, if you want to be technical. 'Cause aside from Game 3, he never looked like that dude because it was an ugly series. But they played smarter through it. That's all it was. It came down to using your smarts. And George Carl was wanted to shoot that long thing, and and it just didn't work. Gary and Sean had the back-to-back games of 4 and 5 where they definitely got in it and played good, but they didn't play good enough to win. That's the problem. They played more enough to say they could hang with them. They didn't play to beat them, and that's what cost them that series. Plus, they had no answer for Rodman. He out hustled, he outworked them, back taps. He outdid them. And they were just relying on shooting the three ball. Well, like I said before, if the Sonics played today, they'd be a championship quality team. They'd be hard to beat today. But that didn't work back then. And they weren't making Chicago pay in the box. So that's what's up. Good question, though. I would have said probably the first time because they had momentum. No, they had momentum. I thought the second time Malone missed that free throw on the Sunday, and then of course Joe went to push off, and it was close. I think again the size differential, because again when they put Harper and Kukos and those guys in Utah, once a Karl Malone was basically they didn't have a lot of scoring options, and Ostertag was soft in the box, so they were not a threat to make them pay. That's why they were all in about getting Ronnie Cycli. You might laugh now, but Ronnie Cycli about cost Utah a ring. Because I really do believe they had to pull that off. They may have beaten them. See, the Bulls got what I call prepared for Utah. They had that 7-game series with Indiana. And lo and behold, the Pacers had that butt on the ropes. That's one of the reasons why Jerry Krause blew that team up. They look very vulnerable. It's just that Reggie Miller couldn't get a rebound to save his skinny behind. Yeah. That sounds like something they would do. Now, the sad part is I heard Elijah one didn't make the top 25. That was criminal. Neither did Wade and some others. Uh, all your traditional centers are there. So I can't argue the Magic Bird, but Tim Duncan should be in there. Well, I'll tell you how they lost if you want to know. So Larry Brown used the same philosophy with Philly that he did against the Lakers. The difference was is in '01, Shaq was getting fed and he was tearing they behind up. And Kobe played pretty good after game 2, and Robert Horry hit big shots. The series against Detroit, Peyton was looking old. Chauncey ate him for breakfast. That was a one-sider. I'm taking I'm gonna take LeBron out. So, and I ain't stuttering because I case for all those guys over LeBron. Um, and then Kobe wasn't passing the ball to Shaq. He was dribbling amongst 3 people with Tayshaun Prince and them clocking him. So that stopped it. That impeded. Rick Fox and Derek Fisher looked old. No, it ain't. Cause he ain't cause see Skip Bayless got him number 9. So that's not far fetched. Not really. Not if you being honest. Oh, so I'm supposed to act like them last 8 years with the Lakers, aside for that bubble ring that he done nothing but what stat pad, missed the playoffs 2 years, couldn't figure out what to do with Anthony Davis, had Andre Drummond, couldn't figure that out. Luka Doncic comes in fat and be drinking beers and stuff, and I'm supposed to be impressed. And then he done gone through swap all these coaches. No, he don't get no pass. You play for the Lakers. You don't play for the Clippers. So one finals and a bubble ring, and that he ain't done nothing in LA. So no, he got to go. And the longer he plays, the worse it is for his legacy. Now, Karl Malone looked pretty good. He fit the triangle, but they were too old against that Pistons team. And Rasheed Wallace was the. They were throwing bodies at the Lakers. They were quicker than them. Lindsey Hunter got off. They were doing everything they wanted to do, and that's what happened. Phil got out coached, and it was Larry Brown X's and O's. He used the same blueprint what Philly had. It's just that they was feeding Shaq, and Shaq was just tearing it behind up. But those games against Philly were close. If you remember, Ori hit a couple big shots. It was a little close against Philly. Philly stole that first game, so he knew how to coach. Uh, no, because LeBron ain't never been on that level, except if you use the Miami Heat era, and he choked that first series against Dallas, and he was busted against San Antonio, because Kawhi Leonard did hold him in check. So now, Pippen was steadier for what he did. LeBron ain't never been steady. LeBron's been able to be like a free safety. No, because LeBron gets too much love. LeBron's stanneries be cracking me up. Like, oh, if I put him here as a talent, yes. However, if I put him in the same context, no, he had too many choke situations. I'm not gonna forget how he did Cleveland in 2009 and 2010. I'm not forgetting that. Yep. You are asking me about championships and talent. You got to get the two together. See, this is the what the LeBron. I'm. This is like when we do start bench and cut. Let me get back on this camera. Ask me one question, I answer it. Asking me something to substantiate what you want is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. See, because you're up here saying no, Scotty is not. But if you're asking me who can play better defense, who can fit better in the team concept, Pippen can. LeBron looked bad this year with the Lakers, with Reeves and Luca, because he doesn't play like that. This is not his comfort zone. Scotty played like that. As a soloist, yes. What happened in Portland? Yes. And I hold that against him because he wasn't meant to be top alpha dog. But you're asking me to play alongside of a greater player and a player that he has to match wits with, he'll do a better job than LeBron would. That's the difference. LeBron was scared to play with Dwayne Wade until D Wade deferred to him, in case you forgot. And then he ran off Kyrie Irving, and then he impeded Anthony Davis's progress. So yeah, I stand by what I said. History speaks to what I'm saying. Oh, I'm starting Jeff Hornacek and I'm benching Bobby Sear and Austin Reeves gets cut. That's not even up for discussion. Hornacek with Utah was something else because I remember he did the skills playoff. Hornacek could shoot and could play. Bobby Sear would be nice today if he stayed healthy. Austin Reeves is a broke Dollar Tree point guard. But what he played, let me tell you something. If he played in the 90s, ohs, when they put 94 feet on your butt, Anthony Peeler, people come pick your pocket, he would stay on the pine. He barely, because he gets exposed against teams that know how to, in what universe is he Pistol Pete Jr.? What did he do against OKC when they put the defense on his butt and made him turn the ball over? Every time he plays against a legit team, he averages, 15 points. When he going against some teams where he can look like he got some game, he's pushing up 25, 30. He's not that kind of a player. He's not a max player. Everybody knows that. He's a defensive liability, and he can be a streaky offensive player. And then he's taking on that Luca Jr. Whopper. He more like a Luca Jr. because he be crying for the refs to give him a free throw. He cry all the time. I give it that he overcame and where he's at, but he cried too much for me. Now, send his butt to Charlotte because he could have fun playing with LaMelo. He goes somewhere where he can have fun, his career will be fine. I think he deserves that. He don't go to Sacramento. He'll get lost in the shuffle. Prize why Dallas didn't snatch him away from the Lakers because they could have had him. And he's the kind of guy that if he doesn't have pressure on him, this is why you'll get someone saying some Pistol Pete Jr. mess. Because with no pressure on him, yeah, but put some heat on his butt, he's 13, 14, 15 points a game. I'm telling you. He's worked his butt off. I'll give him that, but you know. Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I be trying to tell people about Austin Rivers. He lucky it's not like that. Back in the day, they was like 94 feet breathing on your neck. They let you roll a ball down like you bowling today. They let you walk up the court. And he benefits from starting on top of the key and drives and does stuff. And he does that. But when they play against a team that knows how to pick his pockets, he's back to his usual 14, 15 points a game. He's basically a sixth, seventh off the bench. Basically. That's what he really is. That's why when Rich Paul said trade him, people got their thong all tied up. But he wasn't saying it because he was just trying to troll. He was saying it because that's the dude's skill level. That's really his skill level. But in this day and time, he gonna for get a max deal because he knows how to throw some points. And that's what's so misleading about this today. Because I'm gonna have some people look at me dead in my face and say, he scores 20 plus points. He's not that dude. They can't win with him. I'll tell you this much. Let's see what he do if they sign him and Luca and see how far they go. But what they got. Best player in me. That's kind of hard. That's a hard thing to describe. And it depends on what era we're talking. See, I can give you some guys that come to mind. One guy that comes to mind that if he is on his game and his head is wired right is Kawhi Leonard. Because that thing was going into a different direction. Um we're gonna see what happens with SGA as this goes on. When it becomes a half court game in the postseason. So we'll see. It's always the guys who knows how to make the right choices and decisions. You know, that's kind of a touchy thing because I could make a case that Steph's had those moments too. It all depends on what we're coming from with this. But I thought Kawhi, mhm, he's one of those guys that comes to mind. Obviously, Kareem back in the day. There's different guys who showed me different things. But I'm hard pressed to think about too many of the last decade because it's been musical chairs. Well, that's true. And obviously, his defense isn't the same. I've seen some stuff, but he did have a good year, though. All things considered, and all the scandal aside, he did have a pretty good year. It's just that They, you know, got rid of so much at the latter start, and they didn't really have a chance to really run that full circle to see what they were going to work with. So, you Giannis and then Jay Morant, and that's it. I don't want the last two. Kawhi is washed at this stage. He can't do nothing, not like that. And we don't even mention the last name. The last name doesn't even count. If Ja comes with the right attitude, he'd be a steal. But I'm not like nothing. That's not even funny. I don't even want him to enter the building, okay? Because he probably won't. He probably found a way to be hurt or something. His steroids didn't really work for him. Giannis and Moran are the obvious, and I think you could pretty much get them both. You pretty much could, because John Morant right about now is going for like a pack of now laters, Starburst. And Giannis, if them injuries starting to kick in, they'll make a move. I think you could get both those guys. Minnesota, Minnesota. And if he get healthy and put him with Ant, Minnesota. And if you don't say Minnesota, you think Houston. Because I don't know about Steven Adams, he never matured his game. You see, he wanted to jump over everybody and wanted to be leaps and bounds, but he didn't just work on his game. He didn't work on the fundamentals. He talked all that trash to Clay Thompson and them, and they blocked this. They played pity pat when they were at their highest peak, which was 2022, which now seems like 20 years ago. Because when I look at Memphis, it's hard to believe that 4 or 5 years ago he was looking like the face of the league and he was gonna be something. Yep, that's what's up. That's exactly what it is. That's up. That's exactly. Yep. That's what I just got to saying. And now, yeah, he gonna go for a pack of nerds. They'll basically ship his butt to Brooklyn or somewhere if he don't get to go to. If Dame Lillard couldn't get to Miami, what makes you think Ja will? And Dame was problematic too. Some of these cats is problematic. It's attitude, it's understanding the culture, and it's understanding about keeping your foot on right. And so yeah, what's happening? How you doing? Good to see you, Tom. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. And I like that take. That's what he's going for, though. You ain't lying. But like Cracker Jacks with no prize in the box. That's where he's at now. He fell off so bad with these folks that and he is lucky. He is lucky. He might be the luckiest player. Him and Zion are the two luckiest players in the league right now. Believe me, if David Stern was around, I don't think those cats would have a job in the NBA at least for 5 years. Mm. People don't even understand what that's like. I can't begin to tell you. But I'm not gonna use all that. He just the money, the lifestyle. But sooner or later, it depends on what matters more to you. I'm not gonna put it on hip hop. The guy just didn't have that. He had priorities in the wrong place. Yep. But not Wesley Snipes. They be doing like um uh what's the brother that played his brother in Sugar Hill? Dark skinned brother. He was in the Five Harbours. Eddie King. Yeah, been like that. He'd have been like that cat who can act. Or G Money. It's like G Money. The cat played G Money and New Jacks. Cats that you see and then all of a sudden you don't see. That's what it'd have been like. People don't understand how Stern rolled. Just like the other night, if when Yamba connected on Nazareth, he would have been suspended the next game. Believe that. Or fined. It's a different NBA today, though. But I also think it's because they're trying to sell the product. That's what that's about. But that's what's up. I just think that John Morant had too many enablers. If people want to be down, and his game never had a chance to really, again, you have to play ball and who you playing for. So, you know, that's their problem. So he's an old man walking basically. Yeah, I know about Sugar Hill. I'm talking about the brother. I'm trying to think about. He was the co-star, Wesley's brother in the movie, because that brother was in um, the Five Heartbeats. He was Eddie King too. I remember Sugar Hill. I'm just trying to think of the cat. Cat just had a birthday too, and I'm not thinking about his name right now. I know exactly because he had that raspy voice, and I'm just not thinking about him right now. But he, you know, talking about like how his career kind of disappeared, even though he can flat out act better than most. Yep. Nights like this, I wish. And he's a character actor too, so that's probably why most ain't gonna think that cat can flat out act. It's just that he doesn't get the kind of love that because Wesley was the money dude. But anyway, yeah, he's a good actor. He was also in a movie with Louis Gossett Jr. and James Belushi, uh, uh, the principal. That's back in '87. He was around for a long time. Nope. Not talking about the light skinned dude. I'm talking about the one that played Eddie King. Nights like this, I wish. Dark skinned, raspy vocals. And that dude can act too. But he's like, it's like what I'm talking about when you don't, when you get in a doghouse, you don't see those cats no more. Because this cat acts people under the table, but he plays character. I know about the light skinned dude in the Five Heartbeats because that dude been in a lot of different things. But I was talking about Eddie Kane though. Yep. Because they want hood movies or they want Tyler Perry movies. They don't promote a balance of being. That's one of the reasons why Black Panther and then the Michael movies set it off because people want something that's a variety. Yeah, Michael Wright. Yeah, he did another one. And he was in that principal movie with Belushi and Louis Gossett Jr. when he was younger. The cat can flat out act. But he gets those type of roles. He's like the black version of Christopher Walken because he's got that streaky, cryptic thing, which they typecast him. But the cat can flat out act though. But that's the kind of what I'm talking about. No, they don't. They don't think that they don't respect black audiences, and they think they give you the same old. And they've been giving you like the watered down Eddie Murphy. That's why Kevin Hart has such a long career. Yeah, well, Isaiah Washington. So I'll tell you about that. After he made those homophobic remarks on Grey's Anatomy, he got whiteball. So that's why you don't see him no more. He had a somewhat thriving career, but when he said what he said, them folks turned his lights down. And, he never quite recovered. hmm And I think he came out and said some pro Republican stuff. Oh, Minister Society is going to start. I like parts of Jason's lyrics and I like part of Dead Presidents, but neither one of them moved me enough. I guess I'll bench Dead Presidents and cut Jason's lyric. But Menace is better than both of them almost put together. Lawrence Tate was in two or three of them. So, 2. Oh, well, yeah. If you say the thing they don't want you to say, they got. What about the Wood? I like the Wood. That's back when Omar Epps was on his way up, and then Tay Diggs was still doing hood movies. I remember. And then that tall tree brother play basketball. That one brother, that tall one, he was around at that time. He had a distinctive voice too. Um, well, it's because it stands out above those other two. Those other two don't move me the same. I like Jason Lyric all right at the time. Dead Presidents. Loving Basketball, I like that movie. They kept trying to make Omar Epps into the athletic Negro on the screen. He did that one. He did the Wood. Then he did Higher Learning. He was running. I dug that movie, especially the one that the cat with the Jerry curl, the one they got. I was like that. I like that when they did Luther. If this were mine, yeah, Huey is homogenized. He's one of those third tier, low second, high third tier comedians that he didn't put himself in a spot where no one really asked him, and he's kind of stuck around. I like Love Jones. That's what Lawrence Tate and Neil Long. That was the starter. That's what they've been. Yeah, if you couldn't be Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne, so you could be Lawrence Tate and Neil Long. There you go. In Buppy Love and Buppy movies. Yeah, DL. Well, he's always been kind of like that. You know, some people are indifferent to him. Yeah, you naming some good movies from back then. Funny about Patrice O'Neal because you heard about LeVar Crawford's a funny dude just on faces. Him and Chappelle had some beef. Chappelle was talking about that recently. Yeah, a lot of cats love Patrice O'Neal. A lot of cats loved him. I liked Robin Harris and Bernie Mac. So there was, and again, there was levels and tiers to this. All comedians aren't treated the same. In case you don't know, they got stories. Oh boy, that's a good. Okay, Hollywood Shuffle is gonna start. I love that movie. I will watch Winky Dinky because that's one of the most honest films about the industry and what I still see to this day. Um, Bench Friday, and I'll have to cut House Party. And I did like House Party a lot, but I got to give Hollywood Shuffle. That movie still holds up to me. hmm Yeah, because he did it without the laugh track, and he was doing a lot of what I call he was doing. It was a lot of mental analysis, which was very clever. How he word played. It was a very clever show. Probably one of some people's had. Yep. Oh yeah, Hollywood Shuffle is one of my favorite movies. I could watch that movie all the time because I just enjoyed what he did, the storyline of what he said. Yeah, I liked House Party as well. because the first one was definitely, but against those two, yeah, it's got to get out of here. Even though it had impact, but Friday, come on now, Chris Tucker's debut, that was, yeah, and Robert Townsend, yeah, yep. Hollywood Shuffle did something for me because it's like I loved all that was true about what they was doing because it's what it is. Eddie Murphy. So now what you see with Eddie with Cat went with Kevin Hart. That's that whole Eddie Murphy thing. It's true. Oh, it was. I like parts of the second one. The third one was corny. I watched all 80 of them. So, I didn't watch House Party 80, 79, 70, all that. When IMX got on and all that stuff. But the first one did hit, though. That, and plus no laugh track. And he did it in a throwback way because he took it from what Jackie Gleason would, you know. Nah, it's called high. Franchises, man. If you make the budget, you gonna have the sequels. You know, that's what Hollywood does. They milk it till they can't milk it no more. Yeah, I think that people wanted him to be like he was on stage and raw and greasy and like that, and he was doing it on. He did it in a very distinctive way. Yeah, Michael Collier was funny in the third one, you know, but it was a bit much. Tisha actually looked pretty good to me in the third one. But immature was when they was puppies, and then Chucky Booker, and yeah, I remember all that like yesterday. If I had to pick, probably the first one. I'm not. I think the first and the third, but because I liked it when they gave Joe Pesci a little bit more camera time, but that's about it. I would say underrated for the simple fact that he was a box office draw, and he kind of stopped when he was, he because think about it, they never replaced him in Friday. Nothing. Even though the movie sold as itself, they still cry for him to this day. So he's underrated for that alone. Uh sold a movie with Charlie Sheen, who wasn't even the straight laced cat, made that work. Yep. And then you think about all those movies with Jackie Chan, so all that. So he, yeah, yeah, he did show it more on TV because he was never gonna get the big screen love unless he played typecast in film. But TV allowed him to do that. The Quiet is kept that Bernie Mac show. He was kind of like the Cosby of the new era, if you think about it, because he was more in tune psychologically than even as much as I like Uncle Phil and the Fresh Prince. There's something about Bernie's character that went to the psychological dynamics more than the lifestyle. No, I think he was just holding it. He wanted to. He didn't want to be a slappy third Eddie Murphy. There's always the money was there, but he didn't want to be a slappy third, and that's why Kevin Hart blew up. They all bug eyed, black leather jackets, greasy head, and that's all the Eddie shrine right there. That's what you got. Now, can you play that role and keep making the money? That's what that's about. He did blow up because he did other moves with Jackie Chan. So he did Rush Hour 18, and that guy been they did big business. Tell you something, when you get sequels and you got stand up, he did it. Oh, smartest move he did though was not do it because Ice Cube was cheap. So he went on, worked with Charlie Sheen, and it's not about it, but hear me out. This is just like what I was talking about Dame, and I'm not talking, it's not about that. What it is that they use the Eddie Murphy blueprint. Crossover, accessible, and Tucker didn't run it, he ran it. He got more. Well, it's part money. It was part money, but it's also crossover. Because if you stay working with Cuban them, you stay in the hood. He went where the white money was. Can I say that real loud? He went where the white money is. He didn't want to be stuck in black world. See, there's a big difference when Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby played the straight lace in the passenger side. That's what Cube does. Cube keeps the comedians on the passenger side. If you watch Ice Cube movies, who's ever the happening black comedian gets to ride, and they play that shtick. And Kevin Hart was able to do that. Kevin Hart was able to do that with Cube, but he did that with Cube after Cube had gotten established. He didn't do that when he was first starting. There's a difference. Of course, Kevin Hart's done stuff for The Rock too. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because anytime, um, they are playing with house money. If if OG comes in balls and Hart plays well in Towns, they're gonna be hard to be with their foursome. So they got nothing but house money and they're loose. So realistically, they got a chance. They got a chance. I don't think they're going to, but I think they can. I don't think they can beat OKC or San Antonio, but I do think they. But if they beat up on each other, they got a chance. And I think Brunson is doing just enough to nudge himself in the right column. They got a chance because every team has flaws and every team has things they can get exposed on. So I think they can. They could, but I think they're set up for the next couple years where they could do it regardless. I think Trading Places was his best one, and I would say Beverly Hills Cop and Coming to America, and then you get to Nutty Professor. I also think that Bowfinger's underappreciated with him and Steve Martin. I think that was a really good one. I think that Boomerang has gotten love, but his iconic stuff was mainly in the 80s. Top three: Coming to America, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop 1. And then you can make a case for Nutty Professor. Oh well, the question was the only thing is if they play healthy OKC or healthy San Antonio. I don't think they beat those teams healthy. But they can win if things fall in their way. They got a chance to win if because the foursome OG Nobi is the X factor. If they can get that play at OG, you know, it's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be tough for them. But I think that they're in a situation they believe they can do it. Coming to America was his that was his Dr. Martin Luther King performance that he didn't do because he had the mustache and the look. Had he done Dr. King after that instead of doing that corny another 48 hours mess, we might have been looking at him a little bit different. He was definitely on to something with that. He was the Michael Jackson of comedy in the 80s. He could do no wrong. And he was dominant, and he was bringing his own flair. Well, you know how that goes. You know how that goes. But that was, 30 years later, and then, you know how that goes. And that's because shows you that's one of the reasons why Eddie doesn't get no respect because he does a lot of grandstanding and he sleepwalks through a lot of stuff. That's why it's hard to ever take him too serious because he does stuff like that. So Strange Places had a message in the movie too, which was a serious message at the time, which some people didn't get, you know. But again, yeah, I didn't like the fact they can't come any of the sequels that he does 30 years later. I ain't feeling. Bowfinger, I like. Metro wasn't bad. It was pretty good, but Bowfinger, I like that movie. That to me was the one because him and Steve Martin, I really like that one. Yep. Yeah. Like I said before, Eddie was something else once upon a time. And he's still the standard of the modern comedian. Don't get it twisted. Because as big as Kevin Hart's run is, which is impressive for his time, and you can mention Tucker and Martin Lawrence, all those guys, they eating off his plate, but there hasn't been a comedian that's come along that has pushed his plate to the side. They each have had moments, but they're not touching what he did. Mm-mm. I haven't seen them touch him. Eddie did because Eddie's ego, yo. And so what happened was the fans had wanted it, and you know, um, wanted to come up with this storyline. It's a lot of ego involved. But the companies are greenlighted because it streams now, and nobody doesn't hold the same criteria. I seen, him corny movies he didn't came up with the last. They've been horrible. The Dolomite one was decent. That was decent. Not great, but decent. But a lot of the other stuff, that mess he did with that dude from Saturday Night Live was horrible, and then that mess he did that Beverly Hills Cop 12 was garbage. And then those people that one he just that was I mean he's had some dogs, but he'll because he likes that money, and he has no standards because and that's one of the things that works against him because he's almost like he purposely does dog movies. I don't know if they tax write-offs or something, but so that's my take with it. Well, they sit on it because it's money, and you know, and to his credit, hey, shoot, the guy's got almost a 50-year career, so hey, he's gonna get the budget. I mean, when I think about because you think about it, shoot, $40 is almost 45 years old, so the guy been around forever. But he always did, so okay, what we got? Why does stuff act like it frozen? Okay, let's see everybody's still around. We had a good lively chat this night. Got some likes, so keep hitting them likes up. What we got? I think he's gone. And I think that it's he has to go because they can't win with him. And he'll never accept the third wing. He has to go. He has to go. So the last 3 years, what was it? They lost to Denver first round. They lost to Minnesota last year. And so what is it like? Well, let me get the math right. Like 1-12, the last three or some mess like that when they've lost. Yeah, and it's just not been good. 6-16 since they won the chip. When they get in the process of them, just not good. So yeah, it in that one year when they played Denver in the conference finals, they won four Golden State. And they won what there was it? They won. I forgot how it was. They haven't been viable. You know, just been really dismal. So you can't keep getting knocked out. And I don't care. You want to brag how old he is? Well, brag about the fact he takes those L's, because that's the problem. So I don't. If I think you either retire or you go, but there's no way you bring your butt back there because you just stat padding, and they're gonna pay a reduction, and you're gonna be a third option. You might fool around and be a fourth option because they need a legit scorer to team up with Luca and to cover Reeves' behind. Plus, they need a guy who can hog the middle. They need about three or four pieces. And the thing is that it's fraudulent because yeah, they're third and fourth seed and they might get around, but they're not good enough to go down to go deep. So it's just like what you tolerate. And this is the Lakers we're talking about. We're not talking about a team that's just happy to be there. This is the Lakers. So I think he got to go. If he's smart, he got to go. They're not gonna pay him no $60 million. And if he's smart, he knows he's not worth it because he hasn't played worth that. He know they got lucky against Houston. Okay. Everybody starts to kind of wind down now. We've been on for like get a few more minutes. What you got? Um, if Duncan Robinson don't play, they're done. They can beat Cleveland in Cleveland, but they got to get contributions from all five. And Cade Cunningham actually has to tone it down from scoring 30. They need him to basically be no. What you mean a second song? You second best or second? What you mean by second song? They need him to be more like a 25, 8, and 8, not to me. It's a good it's a good song, but not no. No. Controversy when doves cry. Uh, she's always in my hair. That depends what kind of fan you are of Prince. If we're talking about his hit songs, then no. It's his most iconic. I don't know if I'd say it's his best song. It's his iconic because of the sentiments of it. I don't think it's better than Doves Cry, and I don't think it was better than DMSR or Controversy, but it's important. It's an impactful song, but it's not the best guitar solo either in a song. That nonsense was Rolling Stone was tripping on that. I don't think, and I think it's an impactful song. I don't know if it's his best song. I think it's the one that he has to wear more than anything. So interesting. What made you think of Prince though? I did like Raspberry Beret, the long version, but with Prince, it's either 1999 or the Sound of Times album, which you can make a comparison. I think 1999 was his most funkiest, and I think Sound of Times was most versatile. But it all depends on, even though if I'm being honest, I don't think Prince made what I consider an album that I would get my socks blown off by, if I'm honest. Because he has some stuff on his albums which I could take or leave, you know. When he was on, he was on. Well, that's fine. Yeah, well, that's fine. It wasn't part of your, growing up process. So that's nothing to, it happens. But you know the songs, though. You may not necessarily remember the album or what's with the album, but you know the songs. But people have different ears of Michael. And that's what the thing about what the movie did. It showcased his versatility. So that's what it did. Yeah. Okay, okay. Well, thank you. I got different videos where I do different things, so you never know with me. It's no boast to brag. It's just that I wear different creative hats. And so I have different audiences and I do different things. And so I try different things. And some people like this thing, some people like that thing. The one thing about the live show, when I do these lives though, we go into a little more different depth though, because again, it loans itself to more uh freestyle. So thank you. I'm more and again, we do these things, because the topics are different. We got a day to day what's going on, what's happening, and the variations. Mm, slight edge to Norman Brown. I do like Beasley, but some about Norman Brown's tone I like. Um, Slight nod to Gerald Albright. Slight. These are the brothers that weren't one note wonders like Kenny G did, and I like the tone. Hmm. Boy, I like how you go obscure. Jazz instrument, probably saxophone. There's nothing like a sax for me. Um, yeah, John Coltrane with the muscular version or Grover. I had saxophone players that I liked a lot. I always used to always say the sexy 2 in the morning saxophone solo. That's my trademark. Hmm. But I loved, uh, a crawl just for a little bit of versatility. I do like Dee Dee, but crawl, I'll give crawl that edge on that. She married to Elvis Costello, but I give her a little bit of a pass musically. You've been listening to some smooth sounds lately by some of these names. Well, grew up with it. The truth is I tell this story all the time. When I was a kid, one of the first introductions to jazz was Duke. I was in Brooklyn and the A train, and so I heard Ellington as a kid. And my grandfather loved the clarinet, so I heard Benny Goodman. And then I got told that I just grew up listening to music. Well. Plus, when I was coming along, I can't speak for everybody else. When I was coming along, you just sponged those records. You wanted to learn. You wanted to listen to it. You wanted to absorb it. You know, and you wanted to feel it. And people didn't make know about, oh, this is my ear, that ear. If your stuff was good, you was good. You know, that's when it got commercialized and everything. And now, that's how people are now. But it wasn't always like that, though. Yeah, well, music was always was brought home and it was just played and it just listened to music. You didn't you just listened to music and you took the Duke Ellington approach and this is good or it's bad. You didn't put no bow and tie it up and say, oh, this is, they got 99 different ways to try to romanticize pop music or say this and that. This is an awkward list here, but I'll try. I'm gonna start Billie Holiday, I'm gonna bench Gaga, and I'm gonna cut Clarkson, and I'll tell you why. Um, she can sing, but she ain't never had the right material. She could have been, she could have been like a cross between Leanne Rhymes and Patsy Cline for her era. They just dropped the ball. Gaga has got crazy talent when she put the theatrics out. The thing that Gaga's got is she's a better songwriter and got better melody and more depth than Clarkson. And Billie Holiday got a signature song with Strange Fruit. So that's how I get it. I have, because I go back to when she was on Idol. I go back when Justin Guarini, whatever that was, you know. Um, I go back to when her voice is good. She's what I call a good artist. Could have been better. No, you're not hearing me though. I'm actually saying how you feel for me. No, Clay was a triple junior broke version of Barry Manilow with no cantaloupe. He was made to be a MOR middle of the road artist, and he didn't have no depth. He wasn't better than Ruben, but Ruben was mid too. Clay was just like a sponge or something that they put there, and they really don't even. They could have Bing Crosby'd him, and they didn't really, But I think he was more Pat Boonish, and he decent dude, but just didn't have no goods though. I gave Kelly Clarkson more than a fair chance because I think that she could have had a Faith Hill run. She could have definitely had a Carrie Underwood run. She could have had with the right material. Yeah, Buble, yeah. Lambert got voice, but Lambert can sing, but he don't have what I call an identity. I think she's underrated because of how Clive Davidson have handled her, not because of her. She just doesn't have the right songs. And it hasn't been channeled the way it should have been. That's why she got the TV show. And when you start doing stuff like that, and you trying to be an all around entertainer, that to me tells me that you know that you weren't going to make it for what you were trying to sign up for. That's the problem. I wouldn't call her catalog underrated. I just think that she underachieved, but I think that's got a lot to do with the power structure. She's actually had a chance to take a little bit of what Christina Aguilera did, a little bit of what Britney did, a little bit of what Katy Perry did, a little bit of what Swift did, a dabble into what Beyonce Rihanna did. She could have actually pulled all that off had she been handled the right way because she had a stylish vibe. She just didn't get the right direction. That's all. I think she had a chance to, and the Leanne Rhymes thing I mentioned earlier, had a chance to tackle on all that. They could have done a real versatile thing with her. Country pop, adult contemporary. Nobody cares about her. That's the queen of mid. Um, Shania for the W because she had the right songs. Liana had the better voice, but Shania got most of her material, and that's what we're gonna remember. Leanne should have been bigger. She should have been. She had the voice, but th- she tried, and when she switched off and went to that Britney, when she switched that thing off, it just was too late. And then they underwhelmed her. Shania had always handled it the right way. She had the right material. She wasn't seeing Leanne as far as vocals, but she had the right material. Jessica Simpson was always mid to me. It's like a parody act. Jessica Simpson is actually like a forerunner to Sabrina Carpenter, except she got a better voice, but same kind of prissy vibe, which they like. And and basically a soulless blonde, but got used and got pimped and played that role. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I liked, you know, Leanna was, yeah, she had the voice, just never had the right material. That's what the problem is with a lot of these acts. Because if you have a personality, yeah, Josh Stone was a never was. She was corny. I never bought the soulful so-called Brit, and she was cornball, and she had every opportunity to blow up. She was messing with Dozier, Dozier's son, Lamont Dozier's son. She had that. She had Raphael Sadiq, Questlove. All that was on her, and she just sounded like she was doing hooks in a late night Tubi movie that came on at 2 in the morning because you heard that voice in that song and you liked it, but you didn't love it, but it was enough to get your attention. And that's what she was like, a Denny's driving at 3 in the morning. There's nothing special. Okay, remember, this ain't about talent, it's about career and it's the whole nine. So if I do that, I'm starting Keith Sweat. I'm gonna bench Dave Hollister and I'm gonna cut Sadiq. And I'm gonna tell you why. I never cared for Raphael Sadiq as a solo artist. He's more talented than those guys almost put together, but his singing career as a solo artist doesn't do it for me. His talent is one thing, but Sweat got it. Sweat got the hits. Sweat got the career. He's very average, but he got it. Hollister is one of those most slept on cats. Could flat out, if you know what he did with Blackstreet, he could flat out sing. Just never had the right material. Raphael Sadiq was always lighting the cakes to me as a singer. Uh, I said the most talented, but I don't like his solo career. Nope. I go back with the Tonys. I go back to when he was playing with Sheila E. and Prince. He can play. You get it. You get it twisted. Talent wise, he runs circles around those cats. But his solo career sounds like a lounge act. He ain't the same dude. Like he could write a great song for D'Angelo and work with D'Angelo. He ain't better than D'Angelo. He could write a good song, fill in the blank. But tell me, look, oh, so Keith Sweat got bigger catalog. Okay. Hollister can sing circles around Sadiq. Okay. So what am I supposed to do with that? Hollister's a better singer than Sweat and Raphael put together, but he ain't got no career. And it's funny that you even mentioned his name. Much respect to you for mentioning his name. A lot of people won't even think about him. They'll say Jaheim before they say Hollister. But the point is that Sweat's got a catalog over both. And you got to weigh all the options. No, I never cared for Raphael Sadiq's solo career. Think he's a very talented producer, strong arranger, and I like his musically. Songwriting is depends on what certain songs I like. I like them with Tony. I love them in with Lucy Pearl. Don't care for his solo career. Doesn't do it for me. Like I said, when I do this live show, I don't do. Yeah, you said dope music. Is his music hitting like he sweat though? Can he out sing Dave Hollister? See, I got to put those factors. Well, he played with him when he was a kid. That's fine. I don't try to. First of all, if you go by how my numbers and my stuff do, I'm obviously don't do popular opinion because if I did popular opinion, I'd be far big on these internet streets. And I don't do it to troll either. I shoot from how I shoot, so that's all right. I go by what my ear tells me and what my moments tell me. He ain't never did it for me. Sweat's got a better catalog, and of course, New Jack Swing was big, and he had impact as a writer too. Sweat has a. Thank you so much. Sweat co-wrote stuff with Teddy Riley because uh, uh, just got paid. Sadiq ain't got that. Now, if you get real nitty to the gritty, Sweat songwriting is underappreciated. I just think he whined his behind the death. Yeah, that's true. I understand. I'm just saying before people think I'm trolling. No, I really because I've listened to all these guys. Look, I go back to Sadiq when he was playing with Sheila E. Back when they first came. I go back. And they came a long way too, because it was kind of rough around the edges until they got the Tonys together. And I liked him better with that. And I'm still mad that he left them because that to me was his best situation. Dave Hollister in a fair world would have had a bigger career. Cause I still listen to Before I Let Go. And that song he did on the Higher Learning soundtrack. That cat can flat out sing. They just didn't handle him the right way. So but I can appreciate how people, like I said before, I go by different factors when I bring in my criteria, you know. His vocals, his vocals. It's his vocals. And Keith had a hand with New Jack Swing, had a hand with Teddy, got a first album that's a classic. Let's keep it 100. The Make It Last Forever album stomps over Sadiq if you're talking like that. But you ask most heads. Now, they might like Raphael more, but if you ask who came out with a record that you like, oh, they going to give it to Keith. Sweat's got a 40-year solo career. And we don't even talk about the LSG. We don't talk about Cut Close. We don't talk about um um dang, why can't I even think? Um the group that he had, um I can't I can't think of that group right now. But anyway, they came out with triple platinum. So, he a hit making machine. He just a mid talent, that's all. That's the sad part, cause he be sounding like he drunk and he still do, but it worked on, you know. So I listened to Tony more though, when Ralph was there. But and I listen to Hollister when I like the vocals that he's done, but his solo career didn't have much going on. So Keith got the edge. That's all. I don't know why I can't think of that group. I wanna get freaker. Or can't think of that group. But that album came out with triple platinum. So I mean, the guy had a touch. LB because he had the songs. Secret Garden alone gets him over. Night and Day gets him over. You know, co-writer of Forever My Lady gets him over. He had the bigger career. He wasn't the better singer. He didn't have Hollister's talent, but he got the bigger career. It's about applying what you got, and that's the difference. I like Hollister's voice overall better, but Albie sure got the bigger career. That's a good example right there. That's what I be telling you sometimes when it's like if we're talking basketball. Would I rather have Drew Holiday or Dame Lillard? I take Drew Holiday. Dame's a better talent, but Drew Holiday got results. You see how that works? But some guy gives you results. So you gotta, you take the results or do you take the feelings? There's a difference. So and LB had the songs. Felici came out and let's keep it 100. No, he couldn't carry Hollister's um, brush singing. It's better with Skip. It's no questions asked. Yep. That's a good example because LeBron is supposed to be an updated Magic Johnson. I'll take Magic over LeBron all day because Magic can beat you just scoring 2 points. If LeBron gets held under 10 points, what is he going to do for you? See, there you go. That's the better example, more so than the Kobe LeBron one. It's the Magic LeBron because the Magic LeBron one is what they've been telling you that he's an updated version of. That's the more likely. First take with Skip is far better than without him because Stephen A has been using cats to fill in the lines to what he's. So where do I start? Him and Kellerman were probably the closest thing, but he was intimidated by Kellerman. Kellerman came a long way, dropped his knowledge, he stepped his game up. Shannon Sharp was just a chess match because Shannon Sharp was a hot voice. He used him as bait, and he's been doing that with Cam Newton, all the brothers that are going on these YouTube streets, and that's all that is. And then with Sharp and all, and then they had the other cats. They were just filling, and Mad Dog is basically a Skip fill in with the Joe Pesci New York thing. That's all it is. It's not really obviously it's Skip. Skips is the ending because Skip taught him the game, and that's what he got out of. He wanted to be a Black Howard Cosell, and he needed somebody like Skip to yin and yang him. It's been very gutter ballish without him. The show carries itself because they bring in enough pieces and places and sponsors, etc. But without it, it's all about it's with Skip. That's how I look at it. I got 10 more minutes. I'm at 10 more minutes. So we can talk for 10 more minutes. So let's get some more stuff in. That's what sells him because he's trying to do an adaptation of what Cosell he wants to come across like he doesn't have an Ali. And I tell you something, Cosell never would have deferred to LeBron after that shout match. he would have found a way to one up him. Stephen ain't have been the same with that. So he's got to stay in that box with LeBron's his second greatest player ever nonsense, and he has to stay there. He has to stay in that lane because he got humiliated. His manhood got shook, and he ain't recovered from that. But the problem is that that personality has been sponsored so much on that network that they let that sit there. That's what's up with that. So he takes on these different people, and they all play a game. And that's what they're selling you on. They're selling you on a personality. They're not actually selling you on journalism. No one does journalism no more on those networks. You want to hear real sports talk and conversation? You got to come to these YouTube streets. You're not getting it in corporate world because corporate world is doing adaptation of pop culture, and they're basically told that they have to stand on the same 3 or 4 stories, and nothing sells. I didn't watch some of these cats who used to be kind of respected or what have you, been brought down by clutch sports and all that nonsense. So that's what you got. Well, that's the most credible thing that he's done. I like it when he says move them feet. He's more credible as an analysis than he was on the basketball court. He was one of the top 5 greatest ever mean muggers I ever saw. I'll give him that. If mean mugging made you a top great player, he's top 5 ever. Because he could mean mug with the best of them. But his game, his stat line was about Draymond level, any level. But he mean mug with the best of them. He's like the broke Charles Barkley of analysts. That's what they wanted. One guy who can really talk to get Babylon. Because they used the gambling against him. And plus Twan ain't corporate enough what they want. That's why they ran with Paul Pierce and they ran Pierce out. I like Twan. But you know. He liked to gamble and he there's a few cats that come to mind. I thought that Chris Webber does a good job. He's articulate. You know. Steve Smith is really professional. He didn't win. He didn't win. And he was in a no-win situation. And he was a one and done. That's what worked against him. And he probably wouldn't have lasted had he won that chip in Dallas anyway because he didn't have no personality. I like Avery as a dude, but he had no personality. I like the cat. He's not smart, but he got no personality. They want you to have something that they can sell beyond just that. And sometimes you have to articulate, you have to come off a certain way, you have to connect. And it ain't just based on your knowledge, it's other factors. It's the extra. It's like putting the ketchup and the mustard and the pickles and the onions, you gotta put a little extra. And they look at him like he got hooked up, which in part he did, but you know, I just think that personality worked against him. That's my take. Well, Doc either got some video on somebody or something because he gets the best situations and he finds a way to choke them. He goes to Milwaukee and they turn into worst disaster. You go Philadelphia disaster, Clippers disaster. I mean, aside from that Celtic situation, it's been like you got to be kidding. He's stronger now, and I like his analysis, but yeah, he need to leave coaching alone. He really do. Because if all you're gonna do is just tear down every MVP that you get at him, like come on now. You get to coach Giannis, you get to coach Joel Embiid, and it just goes disastrous. I'm like, come on now. So Doc's a cool dude. It's just that he's overrated. You know, leave a lot to be desired. Well, Giannis is trying to flex, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It would have worked if he kept Drew Holiday and they didn't resort to being a jump shooting team. Um, you're in a small market. No one really they couldn't even say your last name. They don't respect your coach, and he got. So now this is why he has to go to a big place. He find out he put off what he should have done like 5 years ago, and that's all it is. He should have gone to a big market years ago, and now that's what you got. AD been done. AD was. I'm gonna tell you when AD was done. You know when AD was done was when LeBron wouldn't let him shine in that bubble, and he would have been MVP. And he never was the same after that. If you want my honest opinion, I don't know if any other content creator does sports talks about that, but I'm going. If I am not, and let me be the first. If you heard no one else say it, you can call that a hot take if you want. He really was done after 2020 in the bubble because after game two, when LeBron started a stat pad and pushed him aside, he now was the man again. The next year he got hurt in that Phoenix series, and LeBron got hurt, and that was all she wrote. And then of course his one on ones against Jokic where he got ate up. So I'm telling you, had he won that Finals MVP like he was supposed to, and when he called out Kobe's name when they beat Denver, when Rondo hit him with that pass, we may be talking about him now. But now he's trade bait. He's treated like, well, see, first of all, he has no personality. So that's the main reason why they got rid of him in LA. Because not just the injuries, but they tried to sell him on as a product placement. He was not sellable as a big man. And he just kind of like put his head down and was a nice clutch sports puppet. So he just kind of like, that's what has happened with him. That's how you end up being traded for basically a pack of now laters and M&Ms without the nuts to Washington, and you're in your early 30s. Not it's like a bad uh Will Ferrell movie. That's what it looked like. So yes, he will not be what you remember. Cause him and Trey Young, are you kidding me? That's like House Party 9. Okay. And you couldn't stay awake for the last four of them. So what you think you're gonna do when you get to House Party 9? That's what it's or Home Alone 12. That's what it's like. Not good. Not good. But to me, he was never the same after that 2020 bubble ring. That was his coming out party. He gets the finals MVP because he had every chance to be what Luca ended up being with LeBron. And he got held back. And because he's kind of soft in nature, he'll let it happen. So that's what the problem is with him. You know, it's a shame too because he's considered one of the 75 greatest players ever, and I feel like there's a big old asterisk by his name. I saw that mess because I had a slow night once. I watched that garbage just like I watched that White Man Can't Jump garbage, and both them garbages they couldn't even make the Nick Cannon happy hour or Master P happy hour. Them messes were like Tubi rejects. Cause his style of play, and you look at where he's at. Think about it. He's playing for a bottom feeder team. Nobody that's got a name is gonna touch him. And being a streaky kind of player, when it didn't really work with Denver, that was really all she wrote. That really was. That's really what it was. I like Russell's work ethic, but just like Iverson, when they get through with you, they send your butt to Spain, to Saudi Arabia, and they hope that that garbage was like nobody could jump in that mess. And then you put two unknowns in there, and that like who. But see, this is the kind of mess that Hollywood does. Again, I'm gonna say this like this for everybody who don't know. Musically, all forms of entertainment, 'cause sports included, they think people are stupid, so they just package this garbage out, and they think that you'll just tolerate it because they said, "Well, they'll watch it, they'll pay for it," and that's what ends up happening. By the way, you done had a white guy who didn't win a slam dunk contest, who can't even play in the NBA. He can jump, he just can't play. But anyway, we're not trying to use logic. But that's the kind of stuff that, they don't really want to promote ideas of new, and they want to promote, shock. Well, they should have just sent that thing to the hood and had it done hood style like Marshawn Lynch's movie. That's what they should have done, because that garbage was pathetic. But, yeah. I had to be one of those people to stream it on a slow night, because I said, let me see what this dribble is. And it was horrible. It's kind of like his Laker career. It's all remakes and, and little fixer uppers of a name brand. It's in name, but it ain't the same. That's what his Laker career has been like. It's in name, but it ain't the same. He's getting all his stats after he already accomplished what he did, because he can't rap. He ain't got no rhythm like that. Oh, believe me, if he had half a skill set, they'd have put it out. I don't even know if I even moved. I think I was trying not to nod. It did serve a purpose for sleeping, because I think I had that movie in the background. If I had to put on some Alicia Keys and John Legend, I might still be asleep right now. It was that dull and dry. But hey, he went to Hollywood like Skip Bayless says. He went out there to be Michael B. Jordan. That's what he came out to do. And he came out to stat, pad, and star stat. That's what he's done. That's been the crucifix of his career in LA. Whack remake movies, and then all his accomplishments to stat pad and flash, and play a director where he cuts co-stars and head coaches. The guy done had 4 different head coaches since he's been in LA in 8 years. Let that sink in. Every 2 years, your butt can get fired. And the last guy he picked, who was a podcaster just like myself, with JJ Ridiculous Reddick. So to tell me he ain't had, and he brought his son in for good measure, the 55th draft pick, when they could have gone and got something. Look at all the self indulgence the man done. So, mhm. But if you're a Lakers fan, that's what you signed up for. As a Miami Heat fan, I got asked what I want back. I said, no, I don't want him back. I said, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, yeah, he got a paycheck. He gonna get a pension, because he gonna play another year or two. He's eligible for a pension. He got a guaranteed 4-year deal, 7 million. They gonna pay him a pension. Probably pay his butt to get out and never come back. That's what they want to do. He's G League top tier. He's NBA ball boy. That's basically what it is. And it's like some bad movie that you've seen Gary Coleman or somebody in, or somebody who's like, let's be a hero or some mess. And that's what it is. But see, that's why, he again, LeBron then sold his whole lifestyle. He's probably some more lifestyle than any other basketball player I've ever seen, because he's been able to have people out the palm of his hands. Oh, he will. I ain't mad at, look, Bronny, for what his health. I give him credit for that. But his NBA career, is about as believable as it ain't even half as believable as Eddie Murphy's music career. Because Eddie did have party all the time in a couple moments. Bronny don't even score his body weight sometimes in a month. Okay, well, yeah, yeah. They did the remake of, but they did call it. I believe we told a lie because I believe we thought this movie was gonna touch and it was whack. Yeah, I believe we told a lie, but he got to do it. And again, he's smart, calculating dude. Yeah, he light in the trunks, but that's the least of his problems. He ain't got no real handles, and he's timid on the outside shot. He got a nice little left and a little drive, but you know, come on now. He got no business looking at an NBA court unless he's an extra in a movie. At this stage, yeah, offensively, hmm but he doesn't have LeBron's mental capacity. So that's the reason why you asked the question. I know where you're going with this. He's not better than him mentally. Because if he was as good as LeBron mentally, he never would have came into the camp fat and out of shape. He'd have been on his game last year. And he'd have figured to stop dribbling the ball down to 5 seconds on the shot clock and not utilizing your teammates and throwing those passes when you want to, and then taking those long threes and flicking the ball between your legs. He's another one that if he goes against a team that's got defensive handles, they gonna pick his pocket. And he frailing and crying for bailouts. He's up there front bailing. He's trying to get all kinds of loans because his butt is he gets to play in Luca world. There's a reason why Dallas got rid of him, and I understand why. I understand why. I get it. It was a dumb trade because they should have got Austin Reeves and and thrown in some extra. But I understand why they got rid of him because he's too indulgent. He can flat out got off. Like I said, he's the Euro James Harden. He's Euro James Party Harden. And you take that for the better or the worse. Depends on where you come down. But I don't see championships unless they get a squad that can cover his shortcomings on defense, his ball hogging ways, and they get a bench. He ain't winning. And he's also in a strange anomaly too because he's MVP worthy, but SGA, Jokic, and Winyamba are gonna stay in his way unless he has some incredible out of body eruption. So he's in a very strange odd predicament. So that's kind of his odyssey right now. So that's where I am with him. Better now, not for a career, but he ain't as smart as LeBron. See, LeBron was calculating enough to get the right pieces in place. Luca had Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie was gonna be short term even if he stays there. Still need a low post presence. Still need a credible point guard that can put you in a sweet spot where you can manipulate the 1 through 3. And you got to figure out a way to simplify your game. So that's where they are with him. But he's a box office draw. So that's what it's about. It's about keeping booties in seats. Because it ain't about bringing banners there because they ain't going to bring no banner. And he fell right into OKC's hands. They knew he was going to try to showboat. And then he sprung his ankles trying to, that's what's up. And he's got to be mad. He's 2 years removed from being in the finals. And last 2 years, he couldn't play this year, and his team got waxed by Minnesota because he was drinking beer and eating beer nuts and eating burgers. Came fat and out of shape, and that was embarrassing. He got called out on it. So no, his IQ isn't better. His game offensively, but his IQ is. But it's gonna be interesting all season. They're gonna have to make some major moves though. They'll have to let LeBron go. Maybe also they have to go after someone like Ant Edwards. I say this before. They got to go get some speed. Shoot, John Morant may look appealing. They could probably get him for a pack of bubble gum, and they got to go after somebody else. They need to get some speed and some explosiveness because Luca isn't enough to carry that. They gotta have somebody with a battery in their back, and they need some wolves. So see, because it's fool's gold because you're second round fighter and you got people fooled, but you're really not that good. You win 50 games, but you're really not that good. It's a strange situation. It looks closer than what it is. It's like a car in your rearview mirror. It doesn't seem as close, but then you accidentally get bumped and you get blindsided. You get rear-ended. That's what the Lakers are like. They're not. They look better than what they are. So I think everybody done pretty much cleared off. We've been over here almost 3 hours, so I don't care. I'm glad to have everybody come through. And it was great to see everybody come through. Some great conversations. And the videos will be up. So keep hitting the likes and everything. Keep on supporting it. I got videos. And I appreciate everyone that came through with their thoughts and their take. We had some real eye-opening conversations. And it was some great topics today. So I appreciate everyone that was here. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. Thank you again. Peace. I'm out.